Day 3 of the 3 steps to scaling your bookkeeping business for ultimate success. So this is the 3rd session we've done with our wonderful friends at Pure Bookkeeping, and I know we are going live into all of the TOA Global sites across many platforms, and we're also going into all of the Pure Bookkeeping platforms as well, into the Facebook groups and pages. So welcome to everyone. Really excited. Deb, Katrina, day 3. I'll get you to both do a quick intro. So anyone that's missed the first 2, they can go back and watch those after. But just give us a quick intro on who you are, Deb, and who you are, Katrina.
Yep. Hi, and great to be here, Nick. Thanks again for the opportunity. Debbie Roberts from Pure Bookkeeping. I'm the co-founder of Pure Bookkeeping, which was started in 2010 with my business partner, Peter Cook. We started Pure Bookkeeping because I'm really passionate about small business. And I know that they are the backbone of globally, the businesses in your area, in your region, they're the backbone of your country. And I'm really passionate about that. And I know how important bookkeepers are to small business. So we formed Pure Bookkeeping in 2010 after I grew my own bookkeeping business successfully and sold that in 2014. And here we are now, 10 years later, with Pure Bookkeeping, helping other great bookkeepers grow their businesses.
Excellent. So anyone that's just logged on and starting to see this video, we are talking about the 3 steps to scaling your bookkeeping business for ultimate success. This is the 3rd video, or the 3rd live, 3 days in a row, 3rd in the series. And I just introduced Deb, the co-founder, and then Katrina, do you want to just give us a quick intro about who is Katrina? And what's your background before we get into the content?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually the CEO of Pure Bookkeeping. I joined last year as CEO, and I had a bookkeeping business for over 10, 15 years. And it wasn't until the last 5 years of my business that I actually started to take that seriously and got into the systems and implementing a lot of efficiencies and becoming a more of an effective leader. So at that time, I actually sold my business in 2015, realizing that I actually loved setting up the business more than I did the data processing. So as I went through that journey of personal and professional development, I then became a mentor to bookkeepers and mentored a lot of Pure Bookkeeping licensees along the way as well. And as I said, last year became CEO of Pure Bookkeeping.
Excellent. So on the first video, or the first live we did 2 days ago, we talked about marketing. We talked about what is an ideal client and having ideal personas. We talked about having a mission and a clear, I suppose, why you're in business. And then yesterday we covered off around getting talent. So attracting staff, getting staff, and then how do we download and offload the work to them? And we talked about, obviously, the control of letting go is probably one of those. And having the trust that other team members can do it just as well as you. We talked about process and systems to allow for that. And today we're really talking about the 3 steps to scaling your bookkeeping business. And the reason behind these lives, and even our partnership, which has been going for over 12 months now, is really around a lot of our clients are wanting to get into bookkeeping. They see it as a high value proposition, or we have a lot of bookkeeping clients already that just don't have the systems and structure. And then equally, we have just as many bookkeepers now that are looking at transitioning across and starting accounting business, a more advisory style. And I think that's one of the important. So when we're looking at scaling your business, Katrina, I'm going to ask you this question first. What are the steps to scale your business for ultimate success? Yeah. Because a lot of the time, accountants and bookkeepers don't treat it like a business. They treat it like, it's their own job and it's just them doing it. So how do you what are the steps to really scale it as a business for success?
Yeah, the first step that we'd like to talk about is leveraging your systems. So now that you have worked on your systems, you have created those foundations, put those processes in. So you've got your bookkeeping systems there for you to be able to deliver repeatable, scalable excellence, as we say. That then gives you the opportunity to find yourself away from doing the data entry from the day-to-day so that you can actually work on your business itself. So one of the things in leveraging those systems is making sure that you've got a great way of inducting staff. So now that you have hired a team and, with these systems, you're able to scale and put more staff on to do more of the work and build out a bigger, stronger, scalable business. So it's really important to have that right induction process as well. So bring your team in and have that method of being able to transfer the work over to those people, and having the systems behind that work to make sure that those staff are doing the right things at the right time, and the right staff are doing that work as well. And the other part of leveraging your systems is around technology. So it is really important to get your technology in to create efficiencies around, the systems that you're putting in. So things like your workflow management systems, your onboarding staff and onboarding clients, all of those things that we can put into technology to make our world a whole lot easier, so that you've got that stronger foundation. So you can take your business to wherever you want it to go to, whatever you see your potential being. If you've got those systems in place, you can scale from that, and you can, reach any heights.
So one of the challenges that I see is that, and this is across the industry of bookkeeping and accounting, is that we're all busy. And a lot of the time we can't keep up. I mean, if you look at now through COVID, we've got JobKeeper, we've got, all these, the normal BAS work, we've got our normal compliance work. We're just busy. And we're always busy. It's not an industry. And I had a good conversation with an actual accounting coach the other day, and he said to me, Nick, what's funny is that 12 months ago, everyone was crying for how busy they are. And now this year, they've been that busy, plus COVID, plus everything else. And the same message is the same. It's always that we're busy. And I think a lot of the time it's around people don't take a step back to go forward. So my question to you, Deb, is why is it so important to build these foundations? Because for me, honestly, I see a lot of people in the industry that don't. They keep being busy. They keep running down they're on the same rabbit hole, just going around and around in circles. I call it the hamster wheel. They don't actually go backwards and go, you know what, I need to set these foundations. They just don't prioritize it and give it the importance. So why is it so important that these foundations are built?
I learned this lesson very early on in the piece when I began working with Peter Cook, because originally he was my business coach before we became partners in Pure Bookkeeping. And using Michael Gerber's, the original author of the E-Myth Revisited, using his terminology, that most people that go into business are technicians that have bought themselves a job. And what you are, certainly this was my experience, and in the typical bookkeeper, probably the accountant as well, is that you are a great technician. You think, I'm going to start my own business so that I can work the hours that I want, I can get paid more, and I've got the independence and freedom to have the flexibility to do whatever I want to do. But essentially, because the mindset, you're still thinking like a technician, the solution and this was my story exactly, when I came up with the problem that I was already full up and I needed to recruit. And I said yesterday and the day before that I got to a point where I was up to here and I desperately needed to recruit, but I didn't trust anyone because I had cleaned up messes left behind by bad bookkeepers or sloppy bookkeepers. So that was going to damage my reputation. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. The answer then for me as a technician, the only solution I could come up with was work faster, harder, and longer. And that was what I was on this treadmill. And it was in Australia, we call our compliance, our deadlines BAS. You call it something else in America, something else in Canada, but in Australia we call it, and my husband coined the phrase BAS on and BAS off, because when it was BAS on, the family didn't see me. The kids were in bed, I was up before dawn and up until the wee hours of the night, getting the compliance stuff done. And then when it was BAS off, I was home cooking tea and life was pleasant again. So it was a real treadmill. And Pete taught me very early on in the piece to start thinking as an entrepreneur, to start thinking as a business owner. And really, Michael Gerber's book really was my Bible, to be honest. I read that and devoured that, and which was why it was such an honor when he approached me to co-author the E-Myth Bookkeeper with him and Peter Cook as well. And it's an important distinction. Yes, there are things. I also remember when I was trying to get off the tools, I started to understand how important it was to be working on your business as opposed to into it. So I started finding the right bookkeepers, setting those systems up, handing over work, and I freed up some more time to work on my business, thinking about my mission, thinking about my vision, planning, putting all those systems that Katrina was talking about in place. And it's so essential. When Pete first said to me, do you think if you took those systems out that you've got in your head and documented those and trained someone else to do that, would that work? Would that solve that problem that you've got where you don't trust anyone? And I thought about it and I went, yeah, I could see how that would work. But I then followed with, what time of the day am I supposed to do that? Like midnight till dawn? Do we forget sleep? The reality is that we are all busy, but unless you understand that in order to build your business up for ultimate success, you have to carve out time to work on your business.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And I have been known to poke fun at people that go on holidays and, they have their laptop and they take a photo of them working on the beach and how wonderful cloud accounting is. And I always say, cloud accounting has only created a mobile office. It hasn't created work-life balance. Don't post a picture of you sitting at a beach drinking a cocktail because you're still working. Don't try and fool yourself. You're still working. And the other one is I also love to challenge people on is look at your actually real hourly rate. And people, when I ask that question, they go, I charge $150 an hour. I challenge them and say, the business charges $150 an hour. How many hours do you work and how much revenue, including profit, do you get? Divide that by how many hours you get. That is your hourly rate, not what you charge clients. And when I went through that with someone recently, they worked out they're getting paid less than their team members.
Yeah.
And I said to them, that's fine if it's a transition. I said, that's fine if it's part of the strategy to take a step back to go forward. But if you're doing this and you're on the hamster wheel and you don't have a strategy to increase that over time, then that's not okay. And I think that's really that key message of understanding those types of things. So when we're looking at, and both of you have exited businesses, so when we're looking at obviously setting these foundations up, and Katrina, I'll ask you this question, how does it make the business more saleable but more valuable? So when a potential buyer is coming to look at buying the business, having this structure in place, does that help increase the sale or is it not really relevant?
Look, it's really a really positive effect in the sale of the business, and not just the price that you will get at sale, but also the buyers that are out there and the potential of having a bigger pool to sell to. So it's the value of your business becomes, increases as when you've got your systems in that you can rely on. Obviously, your profitability is going to increase. And if you can become, if the business is less dependent on you, then somebody else can walk into that business quite easily and not need you to be there to make sure the transition and the sale happens easily. So there's it also talks to the future profitability of the business as well. So while we're building these systems, you then can start working on your own business. Once the systems are in place, the foundation's there, the staff are singing along. I used to, every time I had something would hit me, so a staff would leave or a big client would leave, I'd always go back to, this is not rocket science. This is not personal. This is a business that we are building. So we are a mindset of building that value of that sellable business. So it's not rocket science. You get the right staff in with the right margins and the right clients in and the right systems that are going to prove that all of those things are working correctly and efficiently. Then you can work more on your business and work on your ideal client that we spoke about in the first session, and make sure those ideal clients are valuable, that are going to ensure profitability for the future. So for a saleable business, we want a profitable future. So we've got to make sure that we've got the right clients on the right rates and all of the systems singing, so that it just builds value. And as I say, we have choices then whether you want to sell now or in 5 years or in 10 or 20 years, it doesn't matter. Start building these foundations and building this out now.
I think that's one of the keys. I'm actually speaking at a conference in a month's time around succession planning and how building a global team helps with that. And one of the biggest things that you mentioned it before about the key dependency, and what a lot of people don't think about when they're selling is actually a lot of bookkeeping and accounting businesses have runoff. So they'll buy 80%, they'll pay you 80% up front, and then 20% of it's at risk. And for you, that 20% at risk, you actually need to grow the business statistically by anywhere between 10 to 15% on the year after you sell it, just to cover the runoff of clients that you lose. So a lot of people don't think about the effect of when you lose. It's a trigger for some clients to leave, or some clients may be retiring and exiting their business at the same time you are. So if you actually want to get the full sale value, you need to have a business that's not dependent on you, because we see it all the time. I bought an accounting firm many years ago and we lost a bunch of clients, and that was nothing other than they were still with the person we bought it from because it was just too hard to change. But when an ownership change happened, they basically had to start again anyway, because it was him and one staff member. So if you can build a business that's not relying on a key person, it is a team and it has different people in different functions, the saleability of your business is obviously significantly more than someone that it's just, if it was just you, Deb, or you, Katrina, then it's obviously, there's a lot of risk. And that ultimately comes back to the buyer. And I think that's leads me really into this next question, Deb, which I want to ask you is, what does it take to prepare a business for sale? So you've obviously gone through that successfully. You would have learned a lot of things along the way. I'm sure you didn't do everything perfect. So what does it take to actually prepare a business for sale?
Yeah, and I think there's a number of elements that are involved to prepare your business for sale. And also I'd add, when you're thinking about this, when I'm explaining this, it's not necessarily that by going through these steps you are going to sell your business. There will be people watching this right now or watching the recording who might be thinking, yeah, well, I don't know if I want to sell my business, or I'm only 25, I'm only 35, I've got a lot of working life ahead of me. Selling is not really something on my radar, but the steps that you put in place to sell your business are the same, whether you are actually planning on selling them or not. So my advice to anyone that's either starting out or in that stage where they think, no, I'm happy to keep working. I love working. I want to do that. But if you set your business up in the way that Katrina mentioned, which is putting the systems in place so it's independent of you, that you've got all your marketing, you're charging appropriately, you've got a profitable business, you may choose when you're at that point that you look around and you go, okay, I can actually run this business. I've got all this automation happening, the workflow management. I might have an operations manager managing a little bit of it as well. I'm working 2 days a week in the business. Gee, what else am I going to do? So it actually creates a lifestyle for you. You can go and sit on that beach without the computer, and you can do it at your busiest time of the year. The proof of the pudding for me was when I was the first time I was able to take 6 weeks off at year end. So that was unheard of. If in the years before that, when I was really at the heavy end of growing my business, the thought of taking time off at year end was like I'd be in the corner shaking, sucking my thumb, thinking, no, the business will fall apart. That is the sign of whether your business is ready for sale. It's whether it can actually run. You just imagine right now, if you were on a beach somewhere and for even 2 weeks, let's just say 2 weeks, 6 weeks might be too much to take. Even 2 weeks, how many calls would you get from your staff? How many calls would you get from your clients? What work would you have to get that computer opened and do the work there? That is a sure sign that your business isn't ready for sale. It's not independent of you, and it takes time to prepare your business to get to that level. So if you're thinking of selling, it's not something that you'd say, all right, I'm going to sell in 3 months' time. It actually takes probably even up to 3 years, especially if you don't have the systems in place, If you're not charging appropriately, if you're not on direct debits and value-based pricing, if you don't have the workflow, if it's completely dependent on you, you've got quite a bit of work ahead of you to get your business ready for sale. So I'm saying it takes kind of 3 years, but whatever stage you're at, prepare your business as if you were going to sell it. Put the systems in place, charge appropriately, get all your workflow management things happen, make the business independent of you, and then decide what you're going to do with it. One of the common mistakes I see being made, and that these are bookkeepers that come to us as licensees once they've got an established business, that they say, I wished I had have come 3 years earlier or 5 years earlier to pure bookkeeping when I was small and put all these systems in place. It's a much bigger beast when you've got 5 staff or X number of staff and you've got so many bigger clients and things like that. So do it while you're small, while you can. And for those that are growing and wanting to scale to sell, start the process now.
And I 100% agree with that. And I mean, even within my own business, like I say I'm younger, I'm not that young anymore, but I don't have an ambition to retire or exit out of the business, but I don't want to be the one running it. And I haven't been running this business for many years. And even when I had my accounting and planning business, I had a general manager running it, and I had multiple people reliable and responsible for advice. It wasn't, if I wasn't there, I always say it's the hit by a bus philosophy. If I was hit by a bus and taken out, that the business wouldn't end. And, unfortunately, and which is really sad, one of our clients passed away last week. She was a sole practitioner. She had her and, one team member with us. And, when she was in critical care in hospital, her friends were ringing us saying, look, we want to keep the business ticking over. Like, we don't know anything about it. We don't know who her team are. We know that she's got a team member via us. But no one really knew anything. And the challenge is the clients can't get serviced. I mean, how do you even notify the client that she's passed away, because there wasn't really these systems and process? So I think it's, we had 12 months ago, we had a client that out of the blue just got cancer, and 6 months later he passed away. So I think that, I don't want to be morbid, but the reality is that these things can happen. And, if something happens within your family and you have to take 3 months off to just go and spend the time with your family, you want the business to be able to run without you, so you don't come back to a train wreck where you don't have a business anymore. So it's, it's not necessarily just because you want to get out of it, you're sick of it. It could be you want a better lifestyle and not work that hours, or, you don't like the technician part, you like the client facing part, which is what I do. I love doing things like this. I love talking to clients. Running the business, I really suck at that. So, I've been able to look at where do I want to play, and then where do I bring in people that are experts and brilliant at that. And I think that, particularly in the accounting world, where a lot of accountants are not big businesses, and that it does rely on them, but you can still build. I've seen businesses where the owner's the CEO and they've only got 4 staff. But the business runs largely without them, so that you could substitute them out if you wanted to or needed to. So I think that
it's not just creating a business for sale as well. Yeah. It's putting those systems in place to see where your potential can go. I mean, this is the fun stuff. This is once we've got our systems in. And, I know for myself, I was really clear on my vision that I wanted to build a big business, and I wanted, and I had the potential. I knew I had the potential. I just didn't know how to do it. I was the biggest roadblock in succeeding. So if I could get out of my own way and put systems in place, and I did have a mentor to help me. If you can imagine having your foundations, settled and secure, where could you take your business from here? Like, if you are wanting to scale up, you can then, get off the compliance and get over to the advisory, or build that, $1 million business. What is it that you want to do? But you don't know until you get off the books and get away from that day to day and get your systems in place to be able to achieve that success and see where you can take it. Like, get out of the comfort zone and see what your potential is.
Well, I just finished a book called Essentialism, and it's largely about saying no to pretty much everything. And the large part of that is actually having time every day and every week to just think, where you don't have the noise coming in. And I think that's what you talked about there, Katrina, is spot on, is if you actually have the freedom to think and your business is running so you don't have to be in it, it's amazing what things you can then go, you know what, I was thinking I'm going to slow down, but I'm going to triple the business now because you got the mindset to think about it. But it all links back to what we've covered over the first 3 days, which this is the third of obviously the lives that we've done, and the third video for anyone watching after. The first day was about what is your ideal client? Who do you serve? And then what is the why and the purpose of the business? And then the marketing strategies to attract those types of people. And then day 2, we really spoke about the systems that you need to be able to employ. What team member do you employ first? And then if you've got a team, how do you make sure that they're doing the right work and everyone within the business is doing the right work? And then obviously today we've talked about scaling your business and then, you know, getting it always ready. So someone said to me many years ago, I think his name is the Dr. Exit. He always said, Nick, your business has always got to be ready for exit, whether you're wanting to or not. It's always got to be ready for exit. And I think that building the foundations is so critical. But as we've spoken about for the last couple of days, not many people are willing to go, you know what, I know I'm busy, I'm going to take a step back to go forward. And I think that's really what largely, I love what you said, both of you have said today about that. So obviously we're wrapping up the 3 series. Anyone that's watching this one and you haven't watched the first 2, you can go back and watch the first 2. They are across all of our social media platforms. What are your final words, Deb? So for anyone that is obviously looking to, that have learnt something through the last 3 days, what are your final words? And then I know that there's a free strategy session that you're giving away that we'll talk about a little bit as well. So what's your final, I suppose, imparting knowledge?
It's be prepared for change. You changing from the technician mindset to scale your business for ultimate success. You need to be a little bit entrepreneurial. I'm not a natural entrepreneur. I had to learn new skills. I didn't know what a leader did. I didn't know what managers did. I didn't know. We've talked, Katrina mentioned about the different domains of the business yesterday, and I didn't know anything about that. I had no skills. I had no training in that area. But what I had was a desire, and I had a purpose, and I had a big vision. And my vision was to replace my husband's income, which is pretty big. There was a 10-year plan that I had. Create, what is your 10-year plan? What is your 5-year plan? Where do you want to be? It's, Katrina said in the very first instance, start with the end in mind. If you plan, if you do the thinking that Nick's speaking about, take time to think and plan where you want to be, create the vision, have fun with it. Have fun with it. I didn't know whether it was possible to replace my husband's income, but I did. It took me longer than 10 years. It took me 14 years, but I still was able to do that. And he's not complaining. So take time, spend that time to work on your business, do the thinking that Nick was talking about, be the leader of your business and plan your future for ultimate success.
Love those words. Katrina, final words?
Yeah, it is around the planning. If you are putting a team on, you're planning on growing, so let's do it properly and plan that out. It doesn't just happen. You can't just start being reactive. Oh, I need somebody. Let's grab that person. Let's just keep growing. Let's plan this out of where you want to take this business. And if this excites you and if you are entrepreneurial, have some fun with it. See where your potential can go. And Nicole's put the link up there for the strategy session that you can have a chat to and get some assistance in creating that plan.
Yeah, and I mean, my final words are, again, business is meant to be fun. I think a lot of the time we get drowned out by why we got in business. We got in business to help and serve the small business community, to make an impact and make a difference. And when we get busy and, we're buried in our own businesses, it burdens us as opposed to excites us. So bring the fun back and really, you started a business to make a difference, And to do that, you need to implement. And I think that, we've covered a lot of content over the last 3 days. There's an hour and a half of content. There's been so many golden nuggets that I've written down. And this is something that I talk about all day, every day. And I know that both of you do as well. And I think that if you don't implement and don't change things, nothing changes. And for us, we started this partnership with Pure Bookkeeping because a lot of our clients didn't have the systems. They didn't have the process. And we kept saying, you need to go backwards to go forwards. But they didn't want to go backwards and do what you did, Deb, and take a year to write them. So this is my big share for today, is that don't recreate something that's already created. Go and get it, leverage off it and take the benefit of it. And that's truly why we've have a great partnership with Pure Bookkeeping, is that our clients don't need to go and recreate the training. They don't need to recreate the process. They don't need to go and recreate all these things because you've already done it. So it fast tracks, and we call it an accelerator. I know that we've got a technology team and we're spending a lot of money on technology, and they came to the last board meeting and said, we've got an accelerator. We could build it, but it's going to take 18 months. We can buy the accelerator and then we can build it over 2 years. And for me, you are an accelerator. I think that's really what you do, is you don't have to spend a year doing it. You've already done that. So for me, anyone that doesn't have the systems and processes, if you're running a bookkeeping business, go to Pure Bookkeeping, you get that accelerator, it's all done for you, and go from there. And Katrina and Deb, thank you so much for your time. I know you've invested a lot over the last 3 days. I really look forward to continuing the partnership and yeah, continuing these as we go. So thank you both for your time today, and look forward to chatting again soon.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Really, it's always fun.
Yeah.
Take care. It's always fun.
Bye.
Bye.